So, Zach, have you been following what's happening with Barney?
I know of Barney, but I don't know the latest happenings with him. What's going on?
Well, he's been gone for quite some time, but he's coming back from the dead.
I'm Zachary Crockett here with Jacob Cohen, and you're listening to the Hustle Daily Show. Today, we're talking about Barney. He is making a comeback, and it's going to be a big one. The purple dino has been gone for about a decade now, and Mattel has some big plans to bring him back from the dead. Barney is coming back. If you were a 90s kid, it was all Barney all the time. This, purple anthropomorphic T-Rex cartoon, not a cartoon, an actual dude in a costume playing a dinosaur. Barney is owned by Mattel now, the big toy giant, and Mattel says that it's going to relaunch Barney not just for TV, but for film, YouTube, merchandise, the whole works. And Jacob, I want to start off by asking you about the origins of Barney. Like, before we get into why he's coming back, take us back to the very beginning. Where did this character come from?
Barney goes all the way back to around 1988. It was created, or the concept was created by this marketer, part teacher, Cheryl Leach, basically as a series of home videos with the help of $1 million in funding from her father-in-law. Today, I think it's around $2.5 million worth. But yeah, basically just started as a series of home videos with a small team. They tried to sell them originally in some Toys R Us stores that struggled, but the producers began doing some, on the ground marketing, taking Barney to preschools, sending him to birthday parties. And that really helped sales just absolutely fly. By 1991, Barney was raking in more than $3 million in annual sales. That year, a TV executive whose daughter happened to see the videos and love the videos helped secure $2 million to produce 30 episodes on PBS for the next year. And that just
opened the Barney floodgates.
That opened the Barney floodgates.
All right. So early 90s, Barney became a legend on TV. This character was everywhere. Give us some kind of idea about the growth that Barney experienced in those early 90s years.
Yeah, it was really an explosion of growth. He was one of People magazine's most intriguing people of 1992. By 1993, Barney and Friends was really rivaling Sesame Street in terms of preschooler viewership, and Barney was on a float at Bill Clinton's inaugural parade. And yeah, just kind of went up and up from there, more or less. In 1996-97, the show attracted a peak viewership of over 2 million preschoolers. In 1998, retail sales of licensed Barney merchandise totaled $750 million. Wow. That fell to $550 million in 1999. But it's really not bad for a show that I was doing some digging, and I found a September 1994 issue of the Television Business International magazine.
Wow.
Which
you really got in there.
Yeah, which reported that the episodes back then cost around $105,000 to produce each half-hour episode.
Okay, $105 to produce, more than $1 billion in merchandise sales adjusted for inflation.
So not bad.
Not
right?
bad at all.
Yeah, and then in 2001, UK-based Hit Entertainment acquired Lyric Studios, which was then Barney's distributor, for $275 million. And by then, in kind of the press release, they said Barney had sold 55 million videos, 68 million books, and 25 million plush toys.
That all sounds pretty good. But then here's where things get confusing for me. In 2010, Barney kind of just went away. He kind of quietly just disappeared from TV. There were still reruns every now and then, of course, after that, but he wasn't as prominent as he was before. It seemed like he was kind of sunsetted. What happened in 2009, 2010?
Yes, a lot happened. You're right. Barney and Friends kind of suddenly came to an end in 2010. PBS never gave a real specific reason, but most people attribute this to a couple things, kind of the rise of a few competing children's shows, but also just a number of really bizarre controversies of all kinds, all shapes and sizes. And there's a documentary that came out recently about this.
Yeah.
But just to name a few, there was a lot of Barney bashing back in the day. That's actually a term that was kind of coined back in the day, Barney bashing. At one point, someone created a I Hate Barney secret society and newsletter community. That's before newsletters were cool. There was a fan fiction role-playing game and movement called the Jihad to Destroy Barney. There's a popular YouTube video with millions of views. Someone made of Elmo literally sniping Barney as he sings his infamous "I love you, you love me" song.
That one's a little cruel, but okay.
It's a little cruel. But then there were also actual threats. The Barney and Friends cast and music directors got literally death threats from people.
Way.
Some guys beat up a guy dressed up as a Barney in a Texas mall. The child actors on Barney were reportedly bullied all the time. So and frankly, over time, a lot of this content started getting just more attention than the show itself. And I think there were just other shows that kids and parents especially started liking more that were more interactive. Right. Dora, Blue's Clues,
SpongeBob.
So I think just all that together.
Interesting.
Things didn't work out for Barney.
And we should mention, too, that I think the actor who played Barney ended up being in like a tantric sex cult later on, which was an interesting twist to the story as well. But anyway, so, okay, all this stuff went down at Barney and Friends. Obviously, they had some issues to work through. Long story short, Mattel buys out Hit Entertainment for $680 million in 2011. Right after the time when Barney sort of quietly disappeared, Mattel takes over. They get the rights to Barney. Now it's like more than a decade later, and Mattel is making a big push to bring him back from the dead. That seems kind of weird. Like, why did they sit on him for 10 years? Why now? Why are they resurrecting Barney?
Yeah, so presumably the toy maker wants to start leveraging more of its kind of original content and IP to drive sales, because sales have slowed down a little bit. In 2022, Mattel's Q4 net sales dropped 22% to $1.4 billion. Yeah, it also posted a 93% year-over-year drop in net income, down from almost $226 million to about $16 million.
Jeez. Okay,
Hasbro, yeah, it's big. And also, just yesterday, Hasbro projected that its revenue, too, will decline in 2023. So this kind of broader the toy giants are having a tough year.
So they see this nostalgic character as maybe a chance to sort of jumpstart their sales again. They have this sort of low lift thing that already is established as an entity. Everybody knows who Barney is,
right?
And it's sort of an untapped gold mine for them.
Exactly. You have the people who might be nostalgic for Barney, who might be interested in coming back. Maybe they have kids now at this point. And then you have just new generations, and also new kind of media formats that they can try out with older characters.
One interesting thing you wrote in your version of this story in the newsletter was this. There's kind of a parallel here with Lego. There's a precedent for resurrecting something, right?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like what we're saying, what I think you're going to see more and more of are these companies pulling a move out of Lego's book, really. It's something they already do, but I think they're going to increasingly do, just moving into content to drive revenue as well as product sales. So yeah, when Lego sales slumped in the early 2000s. And the company kind of employed this same strategy to turn things around. They tried making new toys, theme parks, electronics, but the thing that really hit was when they launched this Bionicle series of action figures. And a lot of people might remember that for the kind of cinematic universe they built around Bionicle, just comics, books, movies, videos, and it was one of their best sellers in those years, and it really helped show Lego how they could leverage storytelling and media in a way that could drive sales of their products. And fast forward, they've continued doing that, and back in 2014, Lego's film The Lego Movie grossed $468 million at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mattel is going to really lean into this same strategy. They have a whole lineup of films coming out, $100 million live action Barbie movie in the works. They also have other films based on Hot Wheels, Magic 8 Ball, Uno.
Man, I forget how many epic brands Mattel owns. They're just like,
I know.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Where do you see Barney fitting into this sort of master plan? Like, what do you think is going to become of this character in his second go around?
What do I think is going to become with Barney? Well, I think that they have a lot of people's attention with this. The announcement itself really just popped off online.
It did.
People who were probably little toddlers when Barney was really popular back in the day are seeing this announcement. I see people posting things like Mattel posted some pictures of the new animated Barney they're going to bring back. People were posting all funny things about how he looks like he got a nose job and some work done. And I think that they're really they found a way to tap into some of this nostalgia.
For sure. We just wrote about something similar with troll dolls. Back in the 60s when these little dolls came out, they were a huge hit. And then 20, 30 years went by and they had a second go around in the 90s where they were even a bigger hit than before. And they sold like $4 or $5 billion worth of these toys. But when they came back in the 90s, all those kids from the 60s were raising kids of their own. So they got a double whammy. They got sort of all the nostalgic parents from the 60s becoming interested in troll dolls again. And then they had this new generation of troll doll purchasers come up. All the parents who had bought them in the 60s were encouraging their kids to play with the same toy. So I could easily see something similar here happening with Barney, where all the kids who are sort of reared on Barney in the 90s now have kids of their own. They have fond memories about Barney and watching it, and they would want to share it with their own kids.
That's possible, although, I don't know about troll dolls, but I don't recall troll dolls ever having a jihad against them.
No, that is true. Barney's got some hills to climb for sure.
He does.
Hopefully the person in the suit this time isn't involved with the tantric sex cult. That would help.
Yes, one would hope.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, you can go find that over at thehustle.co/email. We'll catch you all next week.